Hey everyone, welcome to Building 10 episode. We will be discussing about Linux GUI and CLI, which is the widely used methods for interacting with your Linux platform. In our previous video, we discussed about the Linux file system, a brief understanding on different terminologies used in Linux file system and how the Linux directory structure looks and what is the methodology we use for structuring the data inside a file system. If you have not watched that video, please watch it. The link to that video can be found in the description box. So without further delay, let's jump into today's class. Class, we will be discussing about two methods. One is your graphical interface method or GUI method, and second one is your command line operation or CLI method for interacting with your Linux platforms. Followed by, we will understand very important concept or terminology known as sudo, why we use it, and what is the necessity for using it. Followed by, we will be seeing some of the basic CLI operations or basic CLI commands for doing day-to-day activities within a Linux environment. Right. Without further delay, let's jump into further topic. So graphical desktop or a GUI desktop for interacting with Linux is based on GNOME desktop environment. GNOME stands for GNU Network Object Model Environment. It's a quite long name, but just for your information, the full form is being given, but it is not necessary to remember it, right? So this is the very common or most common method for using the desktop environment for interaction. And it is a quite popular desktop environment, and it has been bundled as the default desktop environment for almost all the distros or Linux distribution available in the market, including RHEL, Fedora, CentOS, SUSE, Ubuntu, Debian, anything you call, any environment you want to talk, GNOME can be used for using for your GUI interaction or GUI based interaction. So GNOME has a quite intuitive menu-based navigation, and sometimes the Windows users find it very easy or find it very intuitive for the interaction with the Linux. But most of the users nowadays prefer or comfortable with the command prompt or CLI method. But for some use cases, it's still GNOME is being used. So for example, I can give you as an industry point of view, a few of the applications which are available in the market requires a GUI-based desktop environment for interaction. For example, if you are doing or using some applications for computations or doing CAD designs, which requires a backend Linux environment or high computation environment. So those areas requires a GUI environment, quite heavily used in the research as well as mechanical softwares or mechanical industries, very specifically into automotive. But 90% or 95% of the industry is shifted towards CLI-based interaction method. So when it comes to other desktop environments, we have something called as KDE, Unity, XFCE, LXD. So these are other desktop environments which are available in the market. Most of the environments are cloned version of GNOME itself. All the functionalities which you are getting in GNOME are also available in those versions as well. But this can be used as an alternative. So for this course, we will be more focused towards using CLI method because that is the quite popular method for interactions. The reason for not considering the desktop environment is the configuration and management of the desktop environment is quite complex, and it can make a lot of problems sometimes as well. So we are trying to avoid any complex scenarios. But if you still want to learn in detail about how to set up and how to do interactions and how the GUI environment looks and feels, please let me know in the comment box. I will be creating a separate video around it. So the next method is as known as your command line mode options or command line method. So Linux relies heavily on command line tools, and as a system administration or any of the engineers, we spend a lot of time at the command line prompt or on the CMD for our day-to-day operations. So it has so much or so many advantages for working in a CLI environment for the interaction. One of being is that every task can be accomplished from a single command line, which means you can run a single command for doing multiple jobs at one shot, as simple as that. For example, let's say you want to install a package or application and you want to write the configuration of it as well as you want to restart that particular service. This is a 3-step procedure. All these processes can be done in a single command. That is how powerful command line can be be, and it can help you achieve or do actual multitasking within the Linux environment. The second interesting advantage is that anyone in the world or anywhere from the world can sign into a remote machine or a remote server using internet through the command prompt, and multiple user can also log into the system and do parallel operations using CLI. So that is most advantage thing about CLI. Now, when it comes to using a CLI, it has a certain pattern, or you can consider a input lines, which shell or the default shell takes as a prompt, and it can be of three types. First part is the command. Second part is your options. Third is your arguments. So command is nothing but is a program or script which you are executing, and or which is getting executed for any of the input you are giving it to a Linux shell or kernel, right? And it can be followed by one or more options or switches sometime that can be modified what the command can be doing. For example, let's say there is a command known as ls in shell. Ls is the main command or main prompt which you are giving as an input, which gets executed as a script, and it can take further options or argument for doing further options or further execution on your shell environment. For example, it can take options as ls-l, it can take as ls-a, it can take ls-latr, so and so. Right. So like that, you can do multiple options or argument to a particular command, and it can be further commands as well. For example, you can do ls-l, you can do a grep and or pipe, or you can grep for folder name as XYZ. So in this command, what we are doing, we are running ls-l for listing, and we are combining it with a further command, which we call it as grep, followed by a pipe. How it works, we will see it, but I'm just trying to give you an illustration how the command line can be utilized for parallel operations. And you can use grep followed by a folder name, which will be searching for that particular folder name within that listed directory or listed working directory. So that is how command line works. So the next thing is that understanding the sudo. So sudo is a very important aspect of Linux environment or Linux command line environment. So sudo is nothing but is the capability to provide any logged in user or any user with administrative privileges when it is required. And sudo allows the user to run any program or run any command using the security privileges or access control managed within your Linux server. For any other users, generally we denominate it as a root user. So sudo is nothing but the privilege for giving a particular user privilege to run any administrative task. And it can be associated with a root user, or we call it as master user, which comes with a default sudo rights or sudo privileges for it. So normally any login user can perform any of the day-to-day operationalized commands within the shell prompt or within the command line. But some task requires exclusive rights, which can be given using sudo, and that can be done via a access control system. How it is being done, we will be seeing in the next sessions, but for your understanding, this is what sudo does. Now moving on, let's do some basic operations using your CLI. So for this practice session, I am using AWS as my main server, or I have created a free tier server on my AWS account. You can do the same as well. You can create your own free tier account. How to do it? I can give you a link in the description, a document very specifically, which you can follow to create a free tier account. And another document to create a free tier server on AWS account, which you can follow for creating. If you are getting stuck anywhere, please let me know in the comment box or post your queries in our Discord community. Our team will be responding, or team will be reverting back with any of the help which is required during the course of the action. Right. So any Linux server can be accessed via a terminal or any command prompt available. I am using a Mac laptop, which comes with a terminal, which is a Linux prompt itself. From it, I can connect to any of the Linux server with some basic configurations. Same thing you can do with Windows as well. So there is a common software named as Putty. How to download it, how to configure it, I will give you a document which you can follow to do the needful. Right. So without further delay, let's see some command options, how you can do and what are the things. So the first command is known as your ls. So ls stands for list. So what this command does is it lists the current directory where you have logged in. So once you log into a machine or log into a server, you will be landing in this kind of area, which will be your home directory or your default directory. And if you want to see what is present or pre-existed within that particular directory, you can use the command as list or ls, and it will show what are the folder or what are the files present in that particular directory. So that is the first command, which we do in a day-to-day basis. The second command, we call it as PWD. So PWD stands for present working directory. So this command will tell you exactly the file path where you are currently present, or what is the file path from where you are operating. So the command name is PWD. So how to make practice of it is you create a server, have a CLI, try to do it along with me, or try to do it once after the class, and keep on practicing. Things will be smoother once you do more and more practice on it, right? So now I am inside this particular directory and I have done listing. I can see there is a folder which is already present, right? And if I want to create a directory, I can use a command called as mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory, followed by a name, any of the name. Let's say I want to create a folder name as Saturday. Okay. So any name. Okay. So I have just given it as today's date. So today is Saturday. So I have named it as Saturday and hit enter, and I can create the directory over there. So by default, Linux doesn't give the success messages. Other than that, it gives the failure messages or error messages when a command is performed. If you want to check whether your directory is successfully created or not, you can run the command as ls again. And you can see there are two. Previously, it was one folder. Now there are two folders. One is your Saturday, one is your built-in 10. Okay. Let's say the next command, let's say I want to get inside a directory and I want to see the content of the directory, how to see it. So the command which we use is named as cd. Cd stands for change directory, followed by the directory where you want to go. So in this particular present working directory, I want to get inside Saturday. I can hit SA, or I can hit capital SA, and I can type the full name of the directory. This is one way. But in Linux way, the powerful way, what I can do is I can just write the initials of the directory if I know it already, and I can hit tab on my keyboard, and Linux command prompt automatically fill the directory name with that particular keyword, and it will fill that particular gap for you. And if I do enter, hit enter, and I can get inside that particular directory. Now, if I want to see where exactly, again, now I can do PWD, present working directory. Now I can see the directory name is changed. Now it has been switched to /home/admin Saturday, right? And previously it was /home admin. So /home admin is your default user directory for your user. So when a user is created on a Linux server or a box, by default, a user directory is given by or assigned by the system automatically, or by the system administrator who is configuring the user for you, right? In our case, it is AWS who has pre-configured the server for us, and it has created a user named as admin, and it has been assigned with a home directory named /home/admin. So, right. So that is why when you log in, you will be landing in that home directory. So in our case, it is /home/admin, and in that we are creating different directories using mkdir, and we are using cd to juggle around all the directories, right? So now I want to go back to my previous directory. Like I want to go to my home directory. What I do, I can use again cd with some options. We told about command line can be used with arguments and options. So in this case, I can use the cd with some options known as cd dot dot. Okay, so cd dot dot, what it will do, it will take you one step back or behind your directory where you are currently present. So now I am inside /home/admin Saturday. I can do cd dot dot. What it will do, it will take me to the one step back of the directory structure. Again, I can do PWD and I can confirm I got back to my previous directory where I was presented. So that is how we do play with day-to-day basis in Linux using some of the basic commands. We will be learning more about it. There are multiple commands which we can use, and we will be discussing in the next video. So just to give you a quick recap. So in this video, we discussed about different methods for interacting with our Linux platform. One is your GUI method and one is your CLI method. In GUI method, we use something called as GNOME desktop environment for interacting in a menu-based method with our Linux platform, while CLI uses a command prompt for interacting with Linux platform. GUI is more graphical user interface focused interaction method, but in CLI, we are using command prompt, which is more powerful option for interacting with your Linux. And it can do parallel processing or parallel operations with a single command line. So that is why it is more used. We understood what is the significance of sudo and where and how it is being used. We will see more illustration about sudo and in our coming videos. Finally, we discuss some of the day-to-day operations or day-to-day commands, which we use it as a day-to-day basis. And we saw a practice on it. Hope you liked it. If you have felt the same, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. That's it for today. See you next video. Thank you for watching.